Hey YouTube, today I'm back at the machine. Finally picked up some buckets behind me.
I have the injector pipes cracked, carry seam there, I lose. Put the fuel pump going and I'll get into a good location where I can see the fuel come out of it. So this is a 12 volt pump into a 24 volt system. So there is something happening. I don't know, is there enough diesel flowing? What I'll do is I will climb up, I'll climb up and I will put it going. If me here. Right. She's going to do there. She lives again. It's a little bit smoky there. Turn pipe. I use a electrical contact cleaner. I know easy start, but it started it anyway. So I don't see any tank secured, so what I'll do is I'll just tie that down there, and I'll get about take out those buckets. So with my diesel tank secured, I'll just have it ticky over like this, and I can start working her now, hopefully. So this is the dry motor that was stuck the last day. As you can see, there's all rust and pitted and things like that. I still have to delve into why it was sticking. It could potentially be a stuck rollers, and this might work away fine. The chances of that happening or it could be a combination of both, but the chances of it just being the one thing is slim to none. We'll see how it goes anyway. Open the magic nuts here. Long time since that worked. Seal could have blown out now and I might need more seals, but that'll be a different day fixing that. So I don't have a hand throttle on it at the moment, so I'm just an idle really. Might give it more diesel, just so I have a bit small more power. Just trying to avoid this drum as well. Might be easier if I move it. Get that far over there. chain, I'll put this to one side, don't want to drop onto it.
Finally have the digger kind of half set up here. I'm going to give it a wash, and she is up in the air at the moment. So the power washer going. I'll give the rollers good going over and things. Just give you a walk around there before I start. Some of them are jammed as others are turning. I'll try and free them up a bit more later. But this is a start anyway. Get the bottom half washed, and I can move on to the top then some other time to cover off bits and pieces on the engine. But I might just do the panels here on the side. I'll let you know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my GoPro here, so I'll switch to that, and hopefully it'll catch the footage for you. But I at least got that beforehand anyway before I go. So without further ado, I'll move on to that. Oh Jesus! Right. Just going to check my GoPro there because there'll be some good footage lost if I don't have it right. So I'll just see is it recording. Yeah, seems to be recording. Well, this could be where things go wrong. It's a bit of a cold day actually. It looks sunny but cold. Yes, I'm looking at that there. Hopefully that'll be okay for you.
She's washing up nicely. So I don't have enough hose to get around it, but I'll move the machine down a while. I'll do what I can first. Cover up the air intake and batteries a bit, make some attempt.
Probably a bit of water got into the fuel tank there, but it is what it is.
Jesus. Oh. I'll have to get in there and clean out that.
This stage now we've given it a good going over, just a bit here left, and there are a few small bits, but it's got the major muck off it anyway. So I'm after giving it a power wash, and I'm trying to get the track on here again. I don't have pins for the buckets yet, so I said I might just try and give it a go there. I might have to get some sort of hand to put it on, but the second track now is after coming loose. I mean, it's like digging yourself into a hole. Just have to figure out back on, and I can tackle that track then as well. There here, boys will be doing the proverbial against the wind. I'll get it on right. So while the second track was off there, I took the opportunity to power wash that as well. So that was all dirt and everything. It's got to go clean now, in fairness. Missed that spot there. I reckon I'll be able to get that anyway. Jeez, it's looking well now. Great, we could just maybe put a bit of paint on it and protect it as well. Not to be down the road yet, I'd say. Another disaster there. We'll get it on. We'll get it on. Putting back on the track that just came off, I have a steel rope there that I'm using to get it back on track. All I have to do is walk the track forward and pull it at the same time. Should come. For me. So if I can rejig the rope, I can get it to pull in. That'll help me align it some bit, and I can track it into den. So it's easier said than done, but I'm on the right track anyway, or left track. After several failed attempts to get the first track on, tried several different things. Without the bucket, didn't have was a means of holding it up and putting on the track at the same time. It's either kind of one or the other. Anytime I tried track it, I was tracking off the ground and was interfering with it. So now I've put a couple of timbers underneath to keep it off the ground. Hopefully I can get onto the idler. So I'm putting it on the idler pulley. I'm using the driven cog to turn it hopefully might turn itself on. If this doesn't work, I'll try and put it on the idler first, and then the driven motor. I have opened off the bleed nibble in there. I've opened that off, and I've let the grease off it. That's it here on the ground. You pump the tracks up by this nipple. I have to clean it there. There's a grease nipple there. Pumps grease into a cylinder, which pushes the idler gear forward. So I've just let it down on the timbers there since we hold it up. Hopefully that will allow me to put on the track better and go from there then. So I have ropes and things like that, steel ropes. I damaged a few bits along the way. I broke a fine pry bar there. It was took a lot to break that, but she broke unfortunately. Well, I now have a steel shaft there. This steel rope was on its last legs as well. She went on me. Tried a few different things and failed, but I'm going to keep trying it. So I'm determined to get it on. If I don't get on with it with the next few attempts, I'll have to get one of the buckets going there and try and get it on then. The pin sizes, I don't have the correct pin sizes, and I don't want it slopping around inside in the shaft because it'll lead to premature wear on the pins. And I know it's an old machine, but I still want to treat it right. So I'm just trying all these other methods first before I go back to the buckets. And look, shall we give it a go and we'll see how we get on. But this setup now, so I'm going to hop in the machine there and do a few bits. My Gold Pro is out of action again. Memory card full, battery dead, the usual works. And most of the footage I won't be using because it's a bit of a waste of time. But what I'll do is, so here I'll drive on with this, give you a show back on the next stage. This is where I'm at now. I'm not too sure if you can see with the shade, but it's off that roller, the first roller, and it's off the second roller, and it's not on the idler yet. But it's touching each face of each roller. At least this time now it's in line, you know. So there, and there. I'm not too sure if you can see that. It's touching, so it's in a line there. It seems to be kind of out here on the bottom a bit. So this is the only section really that's stopping it here. My best option maybe is to try and get this section on first, because when the chain is down like this, there's more slack on it. I've the idler back as much as I can get it, greased it shit out of it. I have been rolling bars and things on it, so I should have pushed it back, because I don't have the facility to push it back with a bucket, and I can't hold the bar when I'm on my own. Maybe I might put that timber underneath it, keep the pads up. That way I'll get more chain out here on the front. So it's maximising the amount of slack. So there's slack there where there does need to be slack, and I could use that slack up there. I brought down the chain on these two rollers, so I've created more chain for here. So the more experienced people here, let me know what you think. At least it might help out somebody going forward, or even myself if it does fall off again. What's the best approach? Ideally I should have the bucket on it. It's probably a big job getting the buckets on as well, or the pins seem rusted in the buckets, so it's good to be able to do it without the use of the bucket too. So let me know what you think below. After getting this far fairly easily, I did put this timber here just so the pads will fall in under those rollers, and that helped a lot. It fell in there a couple of seconds ago, so this is kind of back to square one as such, where I was at there for a good while. What I will do is keep at it and try and get it a bit further than what I was previously. I'm on the right track, pardon the pun. Woohoo! So I seem to be getting a bit of progress here. That's just resting on top of it. It's still not in line. It's getting on the right track. So here in front with the idler gear, lighting is terrible. I'm not too sure if you can see it or not, but it is nearly on. So what's actually in my way, what's catching me is my actual rope, my steel rope. I'm just going to keep sliding it back and forth, and I'll have to take the rope off it. You can see it's taking up the slack in the bottom, and it's using all the chain available to itself. If there was some way I could hold that there in place without letting it off, I would. It's just not enough at the moment, so I'll just keep playing with it a small bit, and hopefully I can get there. I can see progress, which is fantastic. Woohoo! Finally, well, nearly there. Managed to get onto these two rollers just by working the driver motor back and forth. I put two timbers underneath as well just to lift it up, and it worked its way in. This has finally got on, but as you see my rope is in the way there, it's catching. And it's about to slide off as well, so it's heading in the wrong direction. Hopefully I'll be able to rectify that by putting it back and forth, and I would say it will be easier to get it from inside out than outside in. If you are doing this, it was handy to have this pad off, and if you're not in this situation to have a pad off, you can get a hook maybe and place it into the tracks to pull it forward. Hooks and chains, but that's if you don't have a bucket. That is, bucket would help things a lot. With a bucket you can lift yourself off the ground, and you can slew off that. You can use that as a fulcrum and try to pick it on, you know, with the teeth, if you have teeth on the bucket. I'm making do with what I have. I have these bits of timber, bars, these two bits of timber here where it came in handy. I just cut up a tree that was on the ground there, laid on the ground, so handy to have things like that for jobs like this. So I'll push on and I'll try and get the rest on the track on. After struggling with this thing for hours, I finally have it on. I'm delighted. Woohoo! It's on the rollers here. This is on the drive sprocket here as well. So I must just take out this rope. What I can do is I can just loosen off the track back a bit. The track's this way. And the opposite way. Let it travel out a bit. I can remove it from the bottom. I can now tension the track and get her back up and going again. It wasn't until I talked myself through it and the different aspects that I was kind of figuring out how to do it along the way. I was wondering, did I do the right thing by going with the idler gear last, and should I have taken it off there maybe? But I wouldn't have had a means to rotate it, and it was handy while holding it to have the ability to rotate it with that I could go back and forth and kind of shimmy it on, you know. So you have to allow yourself enough slack. So this with this chain, so every chain is going to be different. You're going to have a different amount of wear. I'm not too sure how new or old this chain is. At this current moment in time, I'm not an expert, but I would say that it probably depends on the amount of wear there on that surface, and how much it has elongated, and how much adjustment you have left in that idler. If you have the idler adjusted all the way, but there's a stretch in the chain, you won't be able to adjust it properly. You won't be able to tension it properly, and it'll keep falling off. Once it gets to a certain point, on older machines like this, it's probably not worth putting on new chains on it because they are quite expensive. It may be worth taking a link out, a link or two. Start with a link, taking that out, and joining the chain back together to make it shorter, and you get more out of the chain that way. So that's a couple of things. So what I'll do, I'll get that rope out and I'll begin to tighten the chain. I'm beginning to tension the track here. I've just tightened up the grease fitting. I'm going to pump it up there now so you can see all the slack. So the aim is to take that out of it and tension the chain so it won't come off again. I'll begin there. Grease it. Don't have my GoPro on me, so I'll come back to you when it's fully tensioned. So the first track on now, and it's tensioned. There are a number of rollers, I think near the back there, I reckon they're stuck. I haven't been able to turn them by hand, but there are flat spots in them, so they will need replacement. I'm going to look into can they be rebuilt, or do you just need to flat out replace them? That's on the cards anyway. On this side, this is the good side. I hope there's any small things around the other side. So the other side was the slow track. Here it does the slow drive motor. It does seem to be working when it's jacked up like this. This roller, for instance, that's all I can get out of it. And it is squeaking. It is squeaking. Whereas this one does turn. Although it feels kind of tight to turn, it feels like it's not metal to metal. It is turning, you know. So it feels kind of like it's sealed and it's in place. So it feels good. Whereas this one is kind of wobbly and there's a bit of play in it. So I'm not too sure, are these serviceable? There are caps here, there might be bearings inside in it. I'm not too sure how. I'll have to look into how much a second-hand one is versus the price of two bearings potentially. That'll be on the cards for later. So I did power wash it, but I suppose I was putting it on the other track to get dirty again. That'll wash out of it. I suppose plan now is to put on the track, so I'm just setting myself up here. Plan is to put it onto the dry motor first. Cog will have control over it, so it can go back and forth. Hopefully it won't be as hard as the other side, because I suppose I've been able to experience the other side now, and hopefully this side will be easier. I'm going to switch off to the GoPro now. Hopefully you'll see me put on this and put on the track.
At this stage, I've one track on and it's fully adjusted. Now it's time to put on the second track. Well, this GoPro decided to go on at a multiple speed here, so I didn't set it, but I do want to use the footage. It's very informative in comparison to the other side. The other side, I did the action and filmed it after, so you couldn't get to see the ins and outs in depth. So here I've the chain next to the machine. I'm going to lift it onto the drive sprocket now at the moment. And so I found that putting it onto the drive sprocket was helpful with the other side. I have learned in the meantime that, and I probably will see it in the comments below, if you do get to as far as watching the tracks being put on, is that you can actually split the tracks. So there's a pin in the track that can be knocked out. You can split the track, and you can place the undercarriage of the machine over the track, and I suppose align the sprocket and the idler to the run of the track that way. But I suppose the only time I've ever experienced putting on a chain, it's been when the chain is complete. So that's the way I decided to go with this. Is kind of stick to what you know as such. But it did take a lot of time. I'm not going to deny that. But I suppose like that, people have identified easier ways. Here, I'm opening off the side panel. I actually stalled it and had to restart it there, but I just used the button. So this is another attempt to put the chain onto the sprocket. So it's like thread through the eye of a needle as such. Watch it back, I'm going right and left and all this kind of crack. So I'm dealing with the limits of the machine. So sometimes it stalls, sometimes it engages again, and it is what it is. So I've gotten it that far, taking off the chain again to taking off the wear up again to readjust it. And here I'm actually opening off the greaser for the adjuster for the idler for the chain. So this will allow the idler wheel to retract into the undercarriage, and that will allow for more slack on the chain, and the chain will go on easier. So it was towards the latter half of putting on the other side that I finally opened off the greaser there. So that was a bit of an error on my part, but I still got it on eventually, and that's the lesson I learned here. So doing that first on this first on this side now, in order to cut down the time it'll take to put on this chain. So I have it kind of resting on the track motor sprocket at this stage, and now I'm just trying to put it on top of the idler side. You can kind of see the chain moving on the left there. So I'm trying to walk it along and pull it along also with the boom of the machine. So you run the risk here of it falling off the ground again, kind of thing. And then you just have to, like that, reset yourself and go at it again. So if at first you don't succeed, try again, as they say. Yeah, so still haven't gotten it up to as far as the the idler. It's just work it back and forth, move it around. I probably hopped off there to explain where I was, thinking that it was the GoPro was filming it in normal mode, which it wasn't. So if you watch my hands and feet there, so I'm track it back and forth, moving the machine left and right, trying to wiggle it on into position and align it to the idler and drive sprocket of the machine. So this is my first time doing a voiceover on a bit of footage. You might notice it throughout the video at some stages, but this is actually the first piece of footage that I'm going to that I have edited on. So I hope you enjoy it. And this is me talking more fluidly. Usually I'm mumbling into the machine when I'm out in the open there on my own. It's hard to come up with the words there while I'm thinking about actually fixing the thing. So there's thinking of you, and then there's thinking of the problem at hand, which could be opening off the injection pump, disassembling it, and trying to figure out those things, while also trying to keep the audience entertained.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
So my GoPro is still working. Seems to have enough battery and memory card thing. 10 minutes or so. No, so it took more than 10 minutes to get that in.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning, and this is just the beginning. I need a big change, help me feel like living. I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all. And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you
Just have to get here on the top roller there now. Delighted. Or just gonna have to get on the idler. Rear idler. Delighted. Got there eventually. You can see all the grease that's been pushed out. So the idler lip there is just beyond the end of the frame. But I'd say that only came out when it was going on it, you know, it pushed itself back. Delighted. So now I can get about just getting these two rollers here on properly, and then pumping the track. So what I can do is I'll roll it back and forth there, get that rope off it, then pump the tensioner.
I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all. And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Finally have that one tightened up. That stick there was a small bit jammed. I must pull that out yet. But the track is tensioned. It's a tiny bit slack. That's tight as I could get it. About 4 fingers. When I got it to about 4 fingers, I tracked it and I got a bit small, but looser. Then again, I couldn't get any more than that. So I think that's our limit there. I think the other side might be just a small bit tighter. Maybe that's where this side came off, but that roller there is jammed. There's a flat spot on it. I don't have much hope for the bottom rollers on it, but I suppose I won't know until I try track it. Probably will be under pressure again when I do track it, but hopefully it'll be able to do what I want it to do. That's the main thing. Hey YouTube, just assessing the tracks on the machine, checking the rollers, just showing you here. So you can see the top roller there is turning. This guy is very jumpery and is not. It's on and off, it's slipping. So I actually picked up a new to me. I picked up a second-hand roller, and it does turn smoothly and freely. So I'm going to stick that on. Stick it on here. So there's the 4 bolts on this unit. The heads are a bit rusty, so hopefully my socket won't round the heads and the bolts. But we'll have a go at it and see what we get on. Just working through this top roller here. The bolts came out handy enough. Well, in relation to the other side, they were still a bit stiff, but just to work through, we used some penetrating fluid and worked away there.
So this is the last bolt. Just said I'd show you the setup before it is off. So just a little bottle jack here, or sorry, a trolley jack, small one underneath the track, keeping the weight off the roller. I'll just keep turning this ratchet here until the G comes off. So you can hear under my breath there that there is still some pressure on it. So I'll just keep working away here, and I'll show you when this one's off. I didn't film the installation of the new roller, but it was the same as it was in reverse. Just tested it out there now. Top rollers are spinning, so there's less resistance on the track when the track motors are turning the chain, and it's wearing less. So if the roller was stagnant, it would be wearing down the chain, and it wouldn't last as long as it should. So I do have a number of bottom rollers there that are stuck. So I can see from the outset that one of the rollers that has a flat spot on the bottom of it, so that hasn't turned in a while. The one next to it is full. Also these ones here seem okay, so they could be just clogged up with dirt and things like that. I suppose rather than change them all out, which would be a big job, I'll try and free them out by driving on them. I did manage to pick up a replacement for this one here, a flat spot on it like that. It'll never work right unless you build it up with a weld and lay it down again, put it on the lathe and remove material from it. So that's that. So just a close up on the bolts there, installation, and that's our turning perfectly there. So I suppose I also have a number of track bolts that aren't tight, so that'll be another item to add to the list. But I'm just working through them one by one, and eventually I get there with it. She's running out of diesel there on me, so I'll get back to it. Back at the digger project there today. Today's plan is to throw on a couple of track pads on this side here. I've kind of one good side, one bad side, just trying to get her right, work away then from there. You can see there's a number of pads missing there as well. So I got some new old stock pads. They were a bit rusted up, but still had the original paint on them. So I'll just throw them on. I have a good air gun here. That should hopefully move them for me some bit. So without further ado, we'll get started and we'll get on them. So we're getting around to putting bolts on the pads. You can still see that some of the bolts are loose. Burn those off, or else get the big gun on it. I still have to replace a number of pads here that are missing. So I'm getting around to it. It's just a case of clearing out the holes, putting the pad in place and tidying up the bolts. So I did bring down this big air gun here. The socket actually wouldn't fit through the gap in the pad, so I had to just put out the reliable. Hey doggy, come on. And just a 3/4 inch ratchet and power bar here. It's slow going though. I would have liked to get that air gun going. I'll have to get a smaller socket and get an adapter to fit it onto the gun. Then I can try and see can I get some of those loose ones tightened. If I can't, I'll have to burn them off, replace it then. So this side of the machine, the tracks, the chain isn't too bad, so I'm happy with reconditioning here. The other side, the chain's a bit slack. I'm not sure yet, is it the idler, an issue with the idler, or it has the chain stretched. I'm just gonna work away here, replace any nuts that are missing. Here for example, there's one missing here, I'm gonna replace that. Another example of the nuts coming loose and have a loose pad then. Pad is loose then, you know. It's just a matter of working through them to get around them all. I do have a lash of nuts and bolts here. They're just the nuts, another box of bolts. Just replacing what I can until I get either a plasma cutter or a acetylene torch or something like that to take off those bolts. I don't know if air gun does not work on them. So I have a few options there. I don't have any gas or plasma handy, so hopefully the air gun will do something for me. So I better just start working on it there and get her done. So I just replaced a few of the bolts that were missing on the bottom here. I'm still not got through the whole lot.